Here's a quick run through of the instructions for Programming Assignment 3 in CSC 120. So this is going to give you the chance to create an application that is similar to Lab 6 with the round heads, in that you are going to have visual things on the screen that will change when buttons are clicked. Okay, so here's the overview. You want to develop a Java program that displays at least 3 visual objects in the MU panel that are changed when the user clicks a button in the program interface. Okay, so very similar to Lab 6. You have an MU panel that was displaying round heads, and then the MU frame had buttons. When a button was clicked, you called a method in the MU panel that would change the object somehow, and then you would also repaint the MU panel, and the change would appear on the screen. Okay, so you have at least 3 visual objects. Now the objects must be displayed on a background that can be changed somehow when another button is clicked. Okay, so since there have to be at least 2 different effects that are caused, there must be at least 2 buttons in the user interface of the program. You can have other ones if you want, okay, but the basic idea is at least 3 objects displayed on a background and 2 buttons. One button changes the background, one button changes the object somehow. They could move, they could change colors or grow or shrink or whatever. Okay, so going through the instructions, you're going to have 2 classes named MU frame and MU panel. If you start with the MU frame with GUI designer zip file, you'll have an empty setup. Okay. Now you're going to create 2 more classes for objects that can be drawn in the MU panel. One class will be a background class, and the other class is for objects that will be drawn on top of the background object. So in order for those to be drawn on top of the background object, in the paint component of the MU panel, you'll need to draw the background first, call the draw method for the background object first, and then call the draw method for your other object so that they will appear on top of the background. If you draw the background last, it wipes out the objects that were drawn before that. Okay? And then both classes will need methods for changing the objects in some way. So remember the roundhead example from Lab 6? There was a move vertically, move horizontally, and change mood method in the roundhead class. So your classes will also need methods like that to be able to change in some way. Okay, here's some suggestions for what to do. You can't use a roundhead class, but you could use it as a basis, an idea, but you can't just actually use the roundhead. And also your objects must be more detailed than a simple circle or square or oval that can be drawn. You should have, interesting looking objects. All right, so in MU panel, you're going to declare and instantiate 1 background object and at least 3 objects from your other class. And in paint component, the paint component method of the MU panel, you need to call the draw methods so that they're drawn. Okay, and then MU panel needs to have methods that can change the background and the other objects in some way. Then those methods are going to be called in the action performed of the buttons that you'll put in the MU frame. So those change methods will be called when the buttons are clicked by the user. Very similar to the way Lab 6 is set up. Okay, so using the GUI designer, you want to add at least 2 buttons to the MU frame. 1 button must call a method that changes the appearance of the background object, and 1 button must call a method that changes all the objects from the other class, that moves them or changes them somehow or whatever. Okay? And don't forget that you must call mupanel.repaint at the end of the action perform method for each of the buttons. Okay? You don't have to have enhancements for this program, but to make them interesting and different from ones used by other people, so you can be creative. Okay, here is something interesting that you might want to explore. If you wanted to display an image file, you can do that. Here's a demo program which sort of shows how to do that. You don't have to do that. It just might be something that you might want to explore. Might be fun for you to do. Okay, make sure that you put a comment header in the files and so on. So it would be good to look at the example video where I show several programs that were turned in the past that satisfied the requirements for programming assignment 3. But hopefully that's a good run through. And make sure that you consult the grading rubric so that you know what you are expected to do for the assignment. Good luck and have fun.